So you're doing this pro bono, and you didn't even believe it at this point.
No, I was doing it as well. What the heck, I can take a couple of foreign bodies out. It's not going to take that long. I'll do it on my day off, and I'll have some fun. So that's how I got started. And of course, a couple of weeks he came up with another case, which was a hand case that had an object in the back of the hand, which appeared on an X-ray. And I had to call a general surgeon to see if he would do that. So we both kind of did these two cases with the hee-haw factor, just to prove that this was the biggest bag of nonsense. Plus, here were two individuals that had foreign bodies that were bothering them, and it was legitimate. We'll go ahead and take them out.
Hmm.
So that's where I began.
And so the testing, you start testing these things. I mean, again, was this more of, hey, we're going to disprove this, this is nonsense? And did the tests yield some interesting results?
Well, John, you got to remember that we weren't planning on spending any money.
Hmm.
So right away, during the surgeries, there were some things that happened that we didn't expect. The first patient underwent local anesthesia. I injected her with enough anesthesia to remove the toe, not more or less move the foreign body. And then she was very nervous, so she underwent a hypnoanesthesia for relaxation.
Hmm.
So she was pretty well out of it. And during the course of the surgery, when the object was first touched with the scalpel blade, she kicked her foot up in the air, came out of the hypnotic state, and just screamed. I thought that was a bit unusual. And then it got even stranger because when we took the object out, here was this T-shaped, gray-colored thing, which I'd removed at that time, in 30 years, my share of foreign bodies, because people step on all kinds of things.
Hmm.
And strangely enough, for an object this size, which was about a half a centimeter in each direction, there wasn't any scar. There wasn't any visible portal of entry, which I thought was unusual. But when we saw this thing and got it out, we knew from the X-ray that it was metallic.
Hmm.
So it was covered with this grayish membrane. Well, we wanted to see what was inside. So we took a scalpel and tried to open it. We couldn't cut through it. Now, believe me, scalpel blades are sharp, and sometimes you could even inadvertently whittle a bone with one. So
Wow.
to not be able to cut through a piece of soft material, that was absolutely incredible. So for the sake of good medical practice, we just set it and went on to close the wound and then go to the other side of the toe, which we found a smaller object, which was, again, a strange biological coating.
Hmm.
And again, couldn't cut through it. And then when we went to the gentleman to take the object out of his hand, he produced something that looked exactly like the small object that came out of the toe, again covered with the same coating. And then we went from laughing to ultimate curiosity. Well, maybe both these people had gotten something in their bodies that was strange, but not, certainly nothing that was extraterrestrial
Hmm.
or had anything to do with abductions. So our first clue, which going around the back door here to answer your question, first clue that we had anything was when I got some of the biological data that came back from the tissue surrounding these objects, where it showed there was absolutely no inflammatory or rejection response by the body,
Hmm.
and large amount of specific nerve endings in the area which didn't belong there. So that's how we got started.
So then what did the test results show? I mean, what was this made up of? Was this an extraterrestrial substance, or was this something that belonged in the body but just in the wrong area, or what exactly was it?
Well, finally, down the line, we had to start spending money, which was on my own dime. And
Which I'm
we
sure
had
isn't cheap.
excuse me.
Which I'm sure isn't cheap.
No, all this stuff isn't cheap, and I got to a certain point where the financial factor just stopped us from going any further.
Hmm.
But we paid for the biological analysis of the soft tissue, and then we had the coating, the biological coating, analyzed grossly, and microscopically. But till this day, has not been a complete, in-depth chemical and a molecular analysis of this thing, which I might mention we're doing now. So anyway, looking at this object contained three things. One's called a protein coagulum, which the audience can picture a bowl of Jell-O.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll add a couple of things to this Jell-O. One is some dark brown granules, which we call hemosiderin, which is a cousin to hemoglobin, which we all know is in our red blood cells. That's the stuff that carries the oxygen around your body. It's an oxygen-binding pigment. So hemosiderin is its cousin. And then we had some striated keratin. Striated keratin, and keratin, as you know, John, makes up an industry, a trillion-dollar industry of cosmetics, because it's in our skin, hair, nails, the first few layers of the cornea of our eye. So it's all over the body. Well, those were the only three main constituents of a membrane that you couldn't cut through when it's fresh out of the body. Later, we learned that if you dried it out, it would get like like a shell on a nut, and you could kind of crack it. And then even later, we learned that if you soaked it in just sterile water, the whole consistency of it began to change. It became quite soft. You could see through it, and then you could cut through it. So, as I said, today we have not have any results yet on the molecular structure or the chemical structure, but we do know what it is. But we're getting it now because I have a new biotech company which has found this material so interesting that they offered to sponsor a lot of the research.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. I'm glad that type of research is going on. I mean, this is such a bizarre topic. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. Now, we're coming up to our first commercial break, but real quick, Dr. Leir, and we can revisit this when we come back, but was there any evidence of a signal? I mean, when people think of implants, it's a tracking device or something similar. I mean, did you ever test it for any type of signal emanating from the object?
Yes, John. As we've done now 14 surgeries. We're about to do the 15th and 16th. And in the last few surgeries, we've not only discovered that these objects are emanating electromagnetic fields, but in, I believe, 4 cases now, they have been emanating radio waves. One, which we found most interesting, I was able to send to somebody and get a classified document as to where this wave stood in the spectrum, and we find out that I hope you're sitting down. It's a deep space fixed or mobile communication frequency.
Weird. Wow, that is bizarre.
Yeah, weird is correct.
Well, you're listening to the Black Vault Radio and Dr. Roger Leir with an absolutely amazing tale of his research and removal of alien implants or alleged alien implants. More with Dr. Leir when we're coming up. If you're listening via theblackvault.com, feel free to surf while you're listening. Just open up a new browser window and visit Dr. Leir online at www.alienscalpel.com. That's his website. And also coming up, if you're interested in meeting Dr. Leir, he'll be appearing at the Central Coast Science UFO Symposium this weekend, August 16th through the 17th. CentralCoastScience-UFOSymposium.com. Check it out. We'll be right back with Dr. Leir. Welcome back to the Black Vault Radio. I'm your host, John Greenwald Jr. Joining me on the telephone, Dr. Roger Leir. Dr. Leir, thank you for joining me and sharing your story with the Black Vault Radio. Dr. Leir, did I lose you?
No.
Okay, great. Well, welcome back. Before we went to break, we were talking a little bit about the signals that you detected emanating from these mysterious objects found in the body, which I find just absolutely fascinating. Let me ask you, Dr. Leir, in your opinion, what does that mean?
Well, John, it has certain surprising implications. If these objects are truly non-terrestrial. I even hate to use that word as things go on, things get more confusing. So